probably fit, carrots make a lot of juice, but I could probably do like 3 good carrots, 2 cucumbers, a good quarter to a half a pound of spinach, and maybe like half an apple in here. You like, imagine eating all of that, and eating it properly enough where you're chewing it well enough and you have the time to sit there and do it, and whereas you stick it in your juicer and out it comes and then you just drink it. Part of the problem is we're always in a hurry. We don't always chew our food very well. When you juice it, it's broken down into the most absorbable possible form. So when you drink it, that's what I said, it's like an infusion, because your body will immediately absorb that. There's no problems with, if you didn't chew properly, of course, it's already broken down. It's like a smoothie too, right? Like there can be no problems with digestion with breaking it down. You can have other problems in digestion, but once it's in that form where it's been liquefied, and when it's separated from the fiber as well, the body doesn't have to do very much work. It can just absorb that nutrition. So one, you have nothing that you're consuming during a juice fast that's hampering that. You are taking so much more nutrition than you probably get on a day-to-day basis, just because most people don't eat that way. You don't eat that much. There's no way, it's maybe not no way, but it's much harder to eat that stuff than to juice it to get the same amount. Because you can easily do, I don't know, I will do 3 to 5 of these things a day. How much do you do when you fasted, Michelle, with the juice fast?
I think it was a good 64 ounces. I think
Yeah.
every couple of hours I was ready again, and I wanted to do it again.
Yep.
So I kept it going.
So it adds up, and so to eat that much vegetables,
No way.
that'd be all you did all day.
Yeah.
Did you ever get more than enough or too much of a nutrient? Let's say, did you get too high in, I don't know, iron?
The only things
But
that
if you're on a balance, maybe.
I mean, you
genetics
can,
or
of
something
course.
like
I
that.
mean, the biggest problems are your fat-soluble vitamins. So fat-soluble vitamins you hold on to, and water-soluble vitamins you are going to eliminate usually through the stool or the urine. So usually your body will just get rid of them. Now, if you're doing tons of vitamin E, which you don't get in vegetables so much, that's seeds and nuts. Vitamin A, you don't get only in animal products. Vitamin A, you'll store beta carotene, which is in carrots, you will get rid of. Or, if you get excess, you'll get orange skin. Some people that do like long extended carrot fasts, they'll skin will turn orange from beta carotene. But that's it. That's like, there's always exceptions. There's always gonna be, okay, this person, threw their body off with this. But usually there's so much nutrition involved, and you can't really drink too much. You can't it's not like you're consuming like 5,000 calories and drinking vegetable juice, so it's not like you're doing excess calorie consumption either. Yeah.
That brings up a good question, because I love greens. And when I was pregnant,
What was that,
way back,
grapes?
greens.
Greens, okay.
So way back when I was pregnant, I was actually told by the doctor to cut down on green beans, because I was eating like 3 cans of green beans back then. I was young a day, and he said I could get iron poisoning. So
Okay.
I'll go on my green kick, on my salad kick, and asparagus and spinach and everything else, and then I'll start saying to myself, oh, I better cut back.
Was that because it was an aluminum can?
Probably.
Yeah, because you'll get aluminum cans, that are gonna have chemicals and stuff in them. That sometimes, of course, can be a problem with those things. You can get, specific spinach sometimes in high amounts can be a problem for some people. If you do a wide variety and aren't just consuming one vegetable the whole time during your cleanse, like if you mix it up, which most people are going to do, because you're gonna get tired and you're gonna want something different, same thing. It's definitely more of an exception than a norm for that to be a problem as far as that goes. Hydration is another big thing. So most of us are kind of on the dehydrated level. We know we need to drink water, we get busy, we don't drink enough. One of the things that will dehydrate you is your food, is digestion and having to, whether it's coffee is dehydrating, soda's dehydrating, sugar is dehydrating, processed foods are dehydrating. When you cut all of that out, one, you don't get dehydrated as much, and when you're just drinking liquid juice vegetables, you are hydrating. So you're not only hydrating just on like a water level, you're hydrating your cells. All of the minerals and things that you get in Any kind of vegetable, they are full of minerals, which most, again, we don't get a lot of minerals in our diet either. That's like the sodium, potassium, electrolytes, calcium, all of those minerals that are important that you're gonna find in like a Gatorade or a Powerade or things like that, and that gives you kind of energy. A lot of times, or helps to balance with dehydration. You're gonna get that in your juicing as well, so you'll see hydration improve with that as well. Another thing is that when you do juicing, you're doing everything alive, right? So like a lot of our food is processed and cooked and dead. So I can't, I don't know if any of you here eat mostly fruits, vegetables, raw food. Most people don't. When we cook our food, we kill the natural enzymes that exist in it. So every food, like if you were to go pick a strawberry fresh out of the garden, it has natural enzymes in it that helps you digest the strawberry. So when you eat it, it goes in your stomach, there's enzymes there, it digests itself, bam. Not very much work. If you go take that same strawberry, cook it, and put it in a pie, and then you eat it, now that the strawberry has to go through digestion when those enzymes have been killed by cooking. So now your body has to digest that itself. So it's a further strain on your body to break that down. Cooked foods also, when you cook a food, it denatures the protein in it and changes the molecular structure, which is well documented. So it's just harder work for your body and more of a burden on your body. So when you do juicing, you're doing like all 100% vegetables, fruits, and raw stuff, which is the electricity or like the frequency level and the energy level of that is insane. Vegetables, and some vegetables like some of your superfoods like whole wheat grass, or like goji berries, or some of those things that are higher energy level things, you're having that all the time. So not only are you cutting out the processed stuff, which most people feel pretty good from, most diets, what do they tell you to cut out? Sugar, grains, carbs, all this stuff that makes us generally not feel well. Most people feel pretty better when they cut out processed foods. You don't have any of that, in addition to you have all of this nutrition that you're taking in. So it's like I would say it's a double-edged sword. It's like a quadruple. It's just everything. There is so much benefit from doing that. So one of the major reasons to do something like this is to detox. Is anybody interested in detoxing? Yes, no, yeah, okay. Most people. Unfortunately, we live in a very toxic world. 100 years ago, 200 years ago, there weren't even toxins. This is a completely man-made thing. There were no chemicals. Everything was organic. There were no, anything in the air, in our water, in our food, and now we have mucked it all up. So they are everywhere. They are in carpets, they are in paint, they're in our food, they're in our medications. You can't go a day, let alone like maybe an hour, without being exposed to something toxic, unfortunately, and that's kind of depressing. But I'm not saying because it's depressing, I'm saying because we have to detox. You can go your whole life. Go ahead.
Well, so I read somewhere that if you do like the 5-day or 7-day juice cleanses, they're not really that beneficial. Is something like 3 or 4 weeks a good time, or what is the?
So you mean like it's not long enough to get a benefit?
Right.
Gotcha. So I'll get a little bit into, I'll just talk about it now because who knows where I'll end up, because that happens. But as far as length, you're gonna definitely get more healing from a longer fast. So a shorter one, a shorter juice fast, you'll see some benefits like with willpower. There's a lot of mental benefits, I think, from juice fasting because you have to stop eating food. So there's a lot to gain. I think it's kind of empowering to realize that you can do that, or realize how much, I was really eating more than, if I can just live on juice for these couple days, like maybe when I stop this, like I really don't need to eat that much. It kind of starts, the more you do it, it kind of shifts the way you think a little bit. So the shorter ones, like the 3 to 5 days, you aren't gonna see anything miraculous. You might, but really what they document is usually the major like chronic healing stuff doesn't happen for a few weeks after you really get into it. But you still detox. If you think about the way you live now without juice fasting, you're never getting to a detox type of point. You might occasionally, if you do a detox or take a break for something, your body is constantly being bombarded with toxins all the time. Now, if you do a 3-day fast, okay, you might not see something miraculous, but you're still giving your body a break, and that's still a good thing. It might take you a while. In a perfect world, I think everybody should kind of continually do some detoxing, whether it's juice fasting or cleansing or herbs or whatever it is. But as long as you're doing something to sow into your health and do better and clear out toxins and help your symptoms and all of that, then that's a win in my book. Now, however long you can go is kind of a personal thing with how far you can set out your goal, what is safe for your body, what you're trying to achieve. That's pretty on a case-by-case basis, I would say. But usually if you want like that deeper, like, you know, I know somebody that healed his diabetes completely. It went away after a 21-day fast. Didn't have it when he broke it. So, you know, so it just depends on your goal and what you're capable of doing and what you want to do. Does that answer your question?
Yeah. And then how many times a year, maybe?
That's
Yeah,
really,
it's a
you know,
personal
like, that's really flexible. I mean, I have people that will, like, when they're starting, they may just try, like, replacing a meal. Like, I'll just do, like I think you were saying, like, I'll just do breakfast as a juice, you know, every day to see how that goes. Or some people might do 1 day a week. Like, every 1 day a week, I will juice on this day. Someone might do, you know, a week out of a month. You know, I'll go a whole week with doing it. Some people might do it a couple times a year. You know, there's not really, because there's not, like with a water fast or with like crazy diets and stuff, there's way more problems. There's just not a lot of problems with a juice fast that you have to watch how you go into it and how you go out of it sometimes, because you're turning off your digestion and then you're turning it back on. So you don't want to, like, for example, if you do like even just a 3-day, typically if you do a 3-day juice fast, that means you're not eating fiber. The lower part of your digestive system is taking a break, it's on a hiatus. And then let's say you're saying, okay, I'm done with my juice fast, and you're like, I'm hungry, I want to eat something, and eat a cheeseburger. Not gonna go very well. That's like a big lump in your stomach, right? Your stomach's like, we were busy cleaning out and cleaning house. What is this big, huge block of, you know, garbage in our stomach? So that's gonna throw you off. So you typically, one of the mistakes people make is they break it improperly. So you wanna kind of wake your digestion up slowly and back on track. Typically the way you do that, since you're just doing juice, you wanna do the next kind of food that's kind of like juice. Any idea what is a good thing to break your juice fast with? Does anybody know? Smoothie. That is an option, yeah.
Soups, broths.
Yeah. Typically something very juicy that has some fiber to it. So I usually will break it with like a juicy fruit. So grapes, watermelon, cantaloupe, that kind of thing. Maybe like a peach or something like that. Something that is still juicy or watery, vegetable broth, you know, those sorts of things. You don't want to do vegetables right away because they're very fibrous, but you typically do it with, I usually would say with some kind of fruit. Then usually after that, depending how long it is, it's going to really depend. So typically, so rule of thumb, a 3-day fast would be like a 1-day break. So if you do a 3-day juice fast, you break it for 1 day. And then however far out every 3 days, you take another day to break it. So it can take you a while to kind of get back. Typically you do, your first meal would be juicy fruits, then you would typically do more broths or cooked vegetables to kind of, again, a fiber that is cooked from a vegetable is much easier to digest than like a raw broccoli. You know, like it's much more tougher and more fibrous, that's why you cook it. And then you have to work up to like the raw vegetables, the meats, the grains. Those are the harder things to digest. Those are usually the last thing you add. So you kind of work up to that. And that's tough to say as a lump sum, because that's usually however long your fast is how long you break it. So the last one I did was 18 days, and I broke it over 4 days. And before I went back. And when you get off a long one, your taste, like I think you were saying as I came in here, Michelle, they change. Like you don't always want the same food. You don't necessarily go back to the way that you were eating before. It kind of refines your taste. Like if any of you have ever tried to cut out sugar, and then it kind of changes your sensitivity to it. Do you guys agree? Like you cut it out and then, okay, well you have some or you want some and it tastes really sweet. You're like, wow, that's intense. So it kind of resets your taste buds, which is another pretty awesome benefit, because most people, if they get in the habit of juice fasting, you start to eat healthier and you start to want healthier foods. You start to not want the bad foods as much, the processed, the fatty, the carbs, the heavy meats and things like that. Is there another question with Anne? Yeah.
Well, I was gonna ask, if you are lowering your calories for an extended period of time, do you have trouble like resetting your metabolism? Like if when you go back to eat again and you're eating more calories, would
I'll repeat that. She's asking basically when you've done a juice fast for a period of time and you've done less calories,
Yeah, it's like
does that then mess up your metabolism, or how do you fix that? What was that last part?
change the set point or whatever you're gonna say?
Right, I mean, so when you're doing a juice fast, your body's not really, it's in detox mode. So it's not so much in like normal day-to-day mode. It's kind of like seize the day. It's like, ooh, there's no more junk coming in, like we don't have to digest food anymore, let's go do something else with our time. So then it'll start cleaning up the body. So it goes in that mode. So the metabolism will go slower. You're typically consuming less calories, but you don't have to. Like, some juices can have more calories, some have less, but it is hard to maintain typically, depending on your calorie intake. That's gonna fluctuate from person to person, but that's gonna depend. You may be probably consuming less. So let's say for the sake of the argument, you're consuming less calories than what you were eating. What will happen is when you break a fast, you're gonna always put some back. So you're gonna lose, a lot of people will do juice fasting for weight loss, right? So you're going to lose water weight, okay? That's always a thing, right? You're gonna lose water weight. The other thing you're going to lose is the weight in your gut. So you carry around about 3 to 5 pounds of stool in your intestinal tract. So usually that will go depending how long your fast is. A 3-day one, probably not, but that will eventually go with the longer one. You'll also lose some stored energy that you store in your liver. So you're always store something called glycogen, which is like stored energy in your liver for times of famine, which we don't really have anymore. But our blood sugar imbalances, right? If you don't eat, your liver will secrete things into your bloodstream to keep your blood sugar level, or it should be. If you're not crashing, then it is. If you're crashing without eating, then it's not really doing it. But there's stored energy in there. So your body on a fast might use that up. So you lose that weight as well. So whatever you lose there, you'll gain that back. Because your body, you're gonna have food in your gut again. You're going to put water weight back on if you had some, and then you're going to have the glycogen stored back up. So you're always gonna gain some back. But as far as the metabolism, typically when you're cleaning out, it's going to be stronger and better. You're going to put some weight back on because you're supposed to, because they're always gonna put some back on. But the metabolism usually for most people ends up better. Would anybody, that's done one disagree? I'm sure they've had a different experience. I mean, for some people will find that, I would say, with weight loss, if you're getting pretty close to your goal, it gets a little tricky. If you have a lot of weight to lose, typically keep it off. If you go right back to the way you're eating, sometimes it'll come back. You do want to use it as part of a kind of a springboard to eat better. Detoxing is going to help your body overall, but if you go right back to filling it full of toxins, it's kind of defeating the point. I do like to have it be part of a program where we are improving our toxic load and not just going right back to where we were. And usually if you do it often enough or do it long enough, you're going to change your taste buds anyway, and you're going to crave more healthy foods. So metabolism is also a reflection of stress and hormonal system. So it's kind of a complex issue. It's thyroid, it's adrenals, it's toxicity, it's busyness, it's liver. So it's just not a black and white kind of thing.
So I use a lot of pea protein milk in my fruit smoothies. So when you're juicing, you don't use any of that.
You wouldn't use any protein powders because you're using vegetables and fruits. And mostly vegetables. And the more green, the better. And that's it.
And what about exercise? If you want to exercise, should you exercise regularly when you're
It
doing
depends.
that?
So I'm an advocate of when you're doing like juice or water fasting, it's a time where you should try to take it easy because your body is cleaning and restoring. I get that not everybody can do that, but I try to get people to say, kind of take it easy, don't stress as much, try to not be as busy. In a perfect world, that's what you want to do. Not everybody can do that. Extraneous exercise, no, you don't want to be pushing yourself, in my opinion. You can, and some people do fine with it, but I think it should be more a time of letting your body take its energy for healing instead of stimulating your muscles. Like going for a walk, doing some yoga, that sort of stuff is relaxing and nurturing and helping your body heal. Whereas if you go to the gym and lift weights, you're stimulating your muscles a whole bunch and That's not what you want your body to be doing right now. You want your body to focus its energy healing, as far as that goes. And to make a correction on what I said, as far as the juicing, I will have some people, and for some people it's good to actually add in like, especially in the winter, juicing can be cold. You know, most of your juices you're gonna make are coming from the refrigerator, and then you're drinking them cold, and it's already cold outside, so that will probably be one of the complaints that some people have is they get very cold, especially in the winter. So sometimes adding in things like herbal teas, you know, that's like an herb to help kind of cleanse the process, or sometimes like a vegetable broth, a clear vegetable broth where you basically just throw your veggies in a pot, cook them, strain them, you know, and then you drink that. Some people need that something warm because they get too cold, or they need some kind of like treat kind of thing. Sometimes it's a psychological thing where I need something that feels a little more like food. It's not as, you know, it's still a liquid, so it's, you know, it's kind of on the fence. You're not 100% juice, but it's pretty close, and you're still gonna get very good benefits. So if you need something like that, and I usually will drink herbal teas. If you need something like that, then that's a benefit. And herbal teas have they can definitely like amp up a cleanse. So if you have a leaking system, like if it's your liver or your kidneys or your hormonal system or whatever it is that you know could use some support, you know, doing something like an herbal tea while you're juice fasting is always good, because then you can support those body systems at the same time and help your body heal better during that point as well. Yeah.
All right, so if you're in the middle of your juice cleanse and you're just gonna snap, and you absolutely are gonna eat, right? It's eat or bust, or I quit, we're done. Because there's a reality to that, you know? Like, what's the plan B? An avocado? Like, could you give us some examples of good choices that obviously might reset the clock or have whatever repercussions they might have outside of quitting? What could be like a handful of good choices beyond broth and tea?
Beyond broth
Like,
and
I
tea.
need to chew. Like, then what? We're all
It's
thinking
such a way
it.
with words. And do you mean I want something and then I want to keep going?
Yes.
Gotcha. Okay, so that would be something where, I mean, you could like choose something and spit it out. Like you could.
Kim, what can I swallow?
Oh, all right. If you're gonna, then usually fruit is gonna be like a juicy fruit is your closest to.
Juicy pear.
Raw vegetables would not be what you want to do, because you would think that because that's what you're juicing.
Right.
But a raw vegetable has a lot of fiber in it, and your digestive system is not, you know, it's not on par with that right now, because it's not putting any energy towards digestion. Juicy fruits is one of the quickest, easiest things to digest food-wise. It's through your stomach in a half hour, and there's not much. The fiber and if it's a high water content, and like a banana is the epiphany of that. That is not water content at all. You would not eat a banana. Very constipating. You don't want to throw that into your digestive system. But grapes, melons, juicy things like that. Strawberries, that's kind of another one. That would be something that I would say would be okay to cheat with.
Okay. So like, and for folks, because I know these are some questions that came up in our last workshop, so I'm
Okay.
kind of giving them back to you because I said I'll ask him. And here you are, how handy. So some folks said, listen, I'm gonna eat a meal a day, like I'm gonna have some kind of food. So if that's the case, if they were juicing breakfast and lunch and had like fruit, avocado, peanut butter, I don't know, like I'm stretching here, I don't know what to fill in the blank here. But something, it seemed like the general consensus is most people were fine doing this for breakfast, lunch, and snacks, but wanted something to call food in the evening. And I did express that they wouldn't get the full benefits that they would get as far as resting the digestive system, but that's all I could really give them info-wise.
So what's the question?
Right, it's no longer a cleanse, but I mean, again, so there would still be benefits
Oh, sure.
as far as
You're eating less
nutrients,
junk,
so nutrient dense
Right.
and less work for the digestive system. Kind of trying to find the middle ground if people just won't do it. Like, what could
Yeah,
they
sure. I
then
mean, you
suggest?
could totally, you know, like I said, you could just replace breakfast and do that. You can replace breakfast and lunch. If you do that, that's not really, you have to be careful if you just like affect your diet now, long term. Because that, you know, what are you eating then? Like you want to look very carefully at what is your meal consisting of then? You know, are you throwing a big steak in there? You know, like that's not going to go very well. So it depends on what, if you're eating pretty clean or pretty like, you know, fruits, vegetables, clean, you know, the lighter it goes, the better.
Lighter, better. Okay.
Yeah, for,
That's a nice rule of thumb.
you know, that would keep you more on cleansing, and the lighter better is the fruits and the vegetables. Those are, you know, that's tricky. I said no raw, but if you're gonna be eating, then you could do like a salad. You know, like
Yeah.
a good salad with all the fixins and stuff like that. Cause that's still light, and that's not gonna bog down. Detox, that stimulates digestion, that's what that does. But
Right.
meat bogs down detox, heavy, like refined carbohydrates are gonna bog down detox, sugars, carbs, you know, those sorts of things,
So I'm with
dairy.
you on the salad. Now let me ask you this and then I'll let you resume. Are they better off doing a short, full-on juicing experience, no food, or a longer duration with a salad every night for dinner, if it's a one or the other thing?
That's a good question. I guess
Because I
it's
do
tough.
get a lot of that. I
Yeah.
get a lot of people saying I'd be willing to do it for breakfast and lunch, but I'm not getting up dinner. So then what?
That's just the hardest part of the day, I think.
Well, you know, I'm here to challenge you, Kim.
That's all right.
Keep you on your toes, keep
Yeah.
you snappy.
At 8:30 at night. So I would say probably doing the juice fast, because
Okay.
I think most people that do it and complete it feel pretty accomplished.
I felt like $1 million. I felt like a
Yeah.
superhero.
Cause like it's one thing to do like a diet and like I'll follow this regime, but like to do an actual, even just one day,
Yeah.
you might not feel like significantly better, but like even just digestive symptoms in one day can be better. Because if you're eating a food that's bothering you, you're gonna feel yucky. If you go a day without eating it, you might feel better that day. So it gives you at least a little bit to see, how am I gonna do with this? You know,
Okay.
and if you do it and it's not fireworks, then maybe you do better with something like the other diet where you could maintain that. But some people try it and they just love it. I would at least want them to at least try a day or a couple days if they can, to experience it. If
Right.
you're not sold on it, okay, then maybe something else is a little better for you if you can't do longer.
Would that be then considered like an intermittent fasting experience then?
That would be
Okay,
good.
so someone that wants to come halfway there could try that.
If you're doing anything for your health, hey, if you're making a step in that direction, I'm all for it, whatever that is to look for you, right?
Maybe with a little practice we bring
Right?
it home.
Hey, we're all work in progress, right?
All right.
Okay, Gail, I know you were awake.
I have like a million questions. First question, I would think before you do this then, if you were a regular coffee drinker or kinda hadn't cut off of sugar, that you would wanna cut those back before you start so you don't get the bad headaches and the
It's
withdrawal
best to,
symptoms.
yeah, I mean, if you tend to get, you know, caffeine withdrawals and you're eating lots of sugar, it will make the experience more enjoyable if you can get all off that stuff beforehand. Some people can, some people don't care, you know, so that's more, it makes it easier, it makes the process, the transition longer, because now you have to cut, you know, your coffee slowly, you gotta cut your sugar slowly, cause if you just cut sugar, you're gonna get the sugar withdrawal.
Well, I don't know what did it to me, but I did this detox once and in the middle, I never get migraines or whatever. I got like the worst migraine. I was crawling home from work on the sidewalk and I came home and I had to eat a banana.
Yeah.
It was just
to
I
play
had
on it.
something, cause it was just like, I
Yeah.
thought I was gonna die. Oh, how do you prevent or is there a danger of having these healing, you know, if people detox too fast? Is it,
Well, that's.
or does juice not do
Juice
that
typically
like
doesn't do that,
other-
water fasting for sure, and I know lots of people that do water fasting, and water fasting for a lot of people is amazing, heals all sorts of stuff. But that is where you're definitely dealing with more healing crisis, definitely should do it supervised, definitely need someone, especially if you're chronically ill, to be watching your symptoms, to know what they're doing, checking your levels if you need it, and things like that. Juice fasting, because you're still taking in nutrition and calories, it's slower, so a water fast is gonna get you way more results, way quicker detox, but more intense. Juice fasting is slower, because you're still taking in calories and nutrition, much safer. Most anybody can do it. Only kind of precaution I would tell people is if you're highly stressed, probably not the best thing, unless you feel like you're in a good place to do it. Because when most people are stressed, they don't think, it's hard to focus on like a strict eating plan, or a lot of us stress eat and things like that. But most of everybody else, most people do fairly well, that's not always, but there's not so much of that. There are healing crises, sure, but they're usually not as extreme, and they're usually when you go much longer.
So I have three really different questions. One is, I'm very new to juicing. I have been borrowing a juicer and I'm ready to buy my own. And so if you have any tips for the type of juicer
Okay.
to buy. second is to
Can I
peel.
do one at a time, because it's.
I know, but I'm gonna forget.
Okay, well, throw them out there, I'm sure between all of us, we'll
Okay,
remember 'em.
second question is to peel or not to peel, which things do you peel and which things don't you peel when you're
Okay.
juicing them? And then my third question is, I'm scheduled for a colonoscopy in 2 weeks. I'm really excited to do a juice fast. Should I wait though till after? Is it better, or should I do some now, some after? Like, what would your idea on that be?
Okay, question one. I have a Green Star, that is my favorite. Champions are good. What do you got? You got a Champion, don't you?
I do.
Yeah, she's got a Champion. You typically, if you're gonna get serious in a juice fast, and you want something that actually can handle greens. So that's probably the big difference between juicers. Some juicers can do like your leaves, your like spinach and chard and lettuces and that, and some don't do them very well. So you have some that are like centrifuge, so you stick it in and it spins around. Those generally don't do greens very well. You usually need like, I don't know how much these are now, but I think they usually run 300.
These are like 3.5, 3,
Yeah.
4.
The Green Star's a little bit more, but they generally have, they're called twin gears, so they have 2 gears that spin together like
Is that what
this.
people call masticating ones?
Mm.
Okay.
So they just can't escape, right? Like it's all getting crushed up. So you don't get like apple peels going through and spinach, that doesn't get done. It just does an amazing job, right? You like your Champion?
I love my Champion.
Yeah.
I am in love with my Champion. I tried the attachment for the KitchenAid mixer, don't.
Yeah. Yeah, and I've had people that have done smoothies and tried to strain them. That doesn't really work either. I mean, typically if you want to try it, I will tell people to go out and buy it. There is a juice place in Lockport. It's a little bit of a drive, but it's worth it if you just want to give it a try. They'll give you your juice for the whole day.
There's actually one right here in Naperville.
Where?
Clean Juice Naperville, I told you about it.
I did not know that.
Yeah, do you know, the Jewel off of 95th? That whole shopping center?
Yeah.
They're actually doing an opening now in Clean Juice.
Oh, that's the new place.
Yeah, that's the
Oh,
new
there's a
place.
new place nearby, yeah.
Follow
okay.
them on Instagram.
What are they called?
They're clean, let me make sure. That's the one we're gonna get invited to, cause I've been talking to her on Instagram.
Nice.
She's
So
actually
that's
a
a really,
female owner.
really
now.
good option then, because then you can just buy your juices for a day, give it a try, and if you like it and you wanna do more, then the juicer is worth the investment, because it is an investment. It's,
Yeah.
hundreds of dollars to get a good one. You can go buy like an 80, don't go buy an $80 juicer. Save your money for a nicer juicer, or go buy your juice from a local place.
Kim, what are your thoughts on it? I've heard that, if you don't drink your juice within 20 minutes, you lose A, B, and C. I mean, my philosophy is it's just juice, right? But,
Just do it.
there must be a science behind it. Could you just tell us more about
I mean,
that?
you do, because, you're basically separating the liquid from you're denaturing it, you're pulling it apart, basically, is what you're doing. So then you will start to lose nutrients. In a perfect world, if you have nothing else to do, sit at home with your juicer, juice a cup, drink it, and then an hour later when you want another cup, juice another cup and drink it. I don't live in that world. Most people, if you do, great. That is the best way to do it.
Okay.
Most people, if you can do all your juicing in the morning, get it all packed up or whatever for the day, clean out your juicer, because it can be a little bit of a chore to clean too, if you're doing like 8 juices a day.
Yeah.
Get it all set, put it in the fridge, you'll get like some separation, which is normal. It's still like a million times better than what you're eating most days.
Yeah, that's
like the
that's
nutrition
what I
is
was
so
thinking too.
so intensely in there, you'll lose some.
Yeah.
Don't leave it in there for days. That's not ideal, but even, it's minimal.
Would you say 2-3 days in a mason jar in the fridge?
I would tell people a day.
A day.
But if that is the only option you have, then it's better. It's better than nothing.
That or bust, 2
Yeah,
or 3 days.
It's better than nothing.
All right, I'll take it. What's the name of the place?
Clean Juice Naperville.
Clean Juice Naperville. Check it out there on
Can I borrow your
Instagram.
pen, because I want to write that.
Yeah.
Yeah,
I
they're
will.
actually doing a they're training their people right now, and they're gonna be opening soon, right off of 95th in the Jewel Shopping Mall.
Nice.
Yeah, right on the corner there.
I've been sending people to Lockport.
Because I was gonna do the Lockport thing, and it was like, I gotta get to Lockport, and
It's
that's
far.
why I
It's
didn't do
far.
it. But yeah, I liked the system that it was just done for me.
Mhm.
Yeah.
What's in Lockport called?
Naked Sprouts.
What's it called?
Naked Sprouts.
Naked Sprouts.
Yeah. And They do big programs. I don't know what this place does, probably good as well, but they'll do every day. You basically go there, pick up your juices for the day.
Yeah, she's got great reviews,
Yeah.
and this is her second location opening up, so, yeah.
So all organic or clean 15 or?
The more organic, the better, but I'm a realist, so, you know, do the best you can.
Maybe
As
just,
far as that
if
goes.
needed, avoid the dirty dozen and be
Yeah.
selective in your purchases if it
Yeah.
comes to it.
Yeah, pretty much.
Yeah.
So she had more questions.
That's right. We got one. Okay, peeling, right? That was another one. So, if it's organic, like carrots, I never peel my organic carrots, my organic cucumbers. Do you have certain ones in mind? Like I peel bananas, like trying to
Yeah,
think what
should
you're
it be
in.
lemons, oranges?
Gotcha. If they're, basically I would say if they're organic, you don't need to peel them.
Okay.
You know, especially if they're in this country. Organic standards outside the country can be a little shady, but within the country, they're a little stricter. So usually organic, you're doing better. There are some that are sprayed more than others. Some are gonna have waxes on them. So you do wanna, like, their lemons. Your cucumbers can still have waxes on them organic. So washing them, of course, you know, you wanna use like a vegetable wash or even just soap. Sometimes we'll do it, we'll cut through the wax in them, because you don't wanna consume that. But if you give them a good wash or a good soak, that's usually what you wanna stay away from is those things. And the last question, I don't remember.
Colonoscopy.
There we go, okay. I would say it depends on what your goal is. Like I've done things where I've done a cleanse before a test because I wanted to come back as a clean test, right? So like I got this problem, like we'll say liver enzymes. Someone's got high liver enzymes, we wanna bring them down, do a juice fast, retest, see if they, you know, watch them go down kind of thing. If it's just routine, you know, I don't think it really, I don't know, I would have to think about it, I don't think it really matters.
Would it make the clean out easier?
Well, the thing with, depending how long you do a juice fast, your digestive system kind of stops. So you don't, some people will have lots of bowel movements, so you usually don't. You don't poop anymore because there's no food going through. So your bowel kind of goes through cleaning. Now once you start eating food again, depending how long, you stimulate that again and that kind of cleans you out. So yes and no, depending on where you're breaking and how long you're waiting. And if you do a juice fast in the middle of a colonoscopy, probably not, because you still might kind of be, because you gotta drink that stuff, and yeah, that doesn't sound like a good mix at that time. Yeah.
Before we start juicing, because I do want to start juicing soon,
Uh-huh.
is there a population of people that you would recommend talking to their doctor before doing a juice fast?
I would say there's a lot of people that are concerned with like diabetes type levels, you know,
Okay.
because it is, you know, a lot of it is carbs that you're consuming. Most people don't have a problem, but if you have unmanaged diabetes, most of my people that have had it, you know, we usually check their levels before and after. And keep, you know, most people with that sort of thing know their symptoms. And if you know how you feel, if you're going high or going low, then you can kind of, you know, most people are smart, you can kind of figure it out. And if I'm guiding somebody through a juice fast, they'll kind of hold their hand through that process to make sure they can kind of, you know, if they're feeling something that's, you know, they're not comfortable with, they're like, oh, I don't, you know, I feel cold, or I feel lightheaded, or this or that, like, having somebody, if you have chronic illness, it's helpful to just, especially for your first one, to have someone there to just make sure that if something happens during it. Worst case scenario, if you don't feel good during it, you feel like something is off, break it. Don't go eat a cheeseburger. Break it properly, but you know, you eat something that would break your fast, then maybe, you know, you need to seek out somebody professionally to help you get through it. But I would say major chronic diseases, the problem with medical is they're planning to do it.
So absent that, that's a service you provide, because I know we have the juice group that we do, and we're
Mhm.
kind of there to answer random questions in the Facebook group, and
Yeah.
that was really helpful and motivating.
Did you talk about that, or should I, or?
I have not,
Okay.
no, but I
So-
wonder if we couldn't juice first and then talk about it, in
Sure.
case anyone
Okay.
has to leave right at 9, you're excused. If you can stay a little over, then you get the bonus minutes,
Okay.
how's that?
Yeah.
Is that good?
Yeah, that's
Okay,
fine.
fantastic. So what I did do is, I'm gonna let you do your thing, but I think back there, it's the pulp overflow, so.
Oh, you're juicing, huh?
Yeah,
All
you're
right.
juicing, yeah, you're the juicer, I'm
You're
gonna put
putting
up
us
tips on
back.
how you do it. I'm so
I didn't know I was
serious.
being tested.
Welcome to my
All
very
right.
serious business. So you can just dump it, and if it leaks, I'm not worried about it. Like, I'll wash the floor, or it's fine, you know, it's plastic, so it's okay. All right?
All right.
Do you need to be like your Vanna White or anything, or you pretty much
Is this
got
gonna
this?
pour okay into these cups?
I'm feeling confident.
Okay. All right, we'll
I
put it
don't
in.
know,
All
just
right.
as you can.
Not, I'm blaming you.
I'm ever the optimist, you know? I'm gonna be fine. Fine.
How many people do we have? How many people do we have, Michelle?
1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11. Question 12.
Well,
Yes.
the pulp comes out here. Can you guys hear me over this thing?
Yeah.
Yeah?
Yeah, you can keep talking. You can
So
hear
you
you.
do have to usually cut up your vegetables. On most of them, there is a small opening. That's kind of one of the downfalls. But you don't want to drop a finger in that, you know? So that's why, because you don't want to kind of get your hand stuck in there, because it'll turn to juice. So there is some prep involved with the vegetables as far as that goes. I'm doing that, and there's the pulp there. You have to like cut them up and get them ready. You can see how pretty it is, right? Pretty color. Did you guys see how much celery was in this bag?
Right?
Before I started juicing it, so now it's a lot of celery.
Oh, it's quick.
And that's how much juice we have.
So what do you do with the pulp?
So you compost it?
What's that?
Was it called composting?
Yes. Yeah, and there's like recipes out there for like making crackers and different recipes and things from it. There. I'll finish this bag and we'll see.
But if you're fasting and you're not eating the pulp, then how long is the pulp going to be good for?
I don't know about you, but I don't know how long it would take me to eat this much celery.
Because you can't eat it.
Way too long, way too much commitment.
Well, I just realized I didn't know what to do with it.
Alright,
When
so
I
I don't
decide
know
what
how
to
many
do
little
with
cups
it,
of
I'll
salt.
Yeah.
So it's
You know,
okay.
Kim, I also have another picture. Let me get it, just so we have like a yet one
Yeah, 'cause
more
that's gonna
little
keep dripping.
container.
I just started juicing
have-
like a week ago, so.
One of the other things that, I'll talk a little personally, I think, so, one of the things that I did not expect to get from juicing. What do you want to do?
Yeah, do you-
Come on. So there is some foam that comes in here, so that's why she's got this strainer here. I'll actually strain it again.
That might get up.
It's not bad for you, but.
No, you just might crack. So everybody's all about celery juice first thing in the morning on an empty stomach. I can drink celery juice, but I actually love celery juice with a half a green apple and a little ginger and a little bit of lemon. Am I canceling some of the benefits when I add the other things to the celery juice?
I don't see that. You said celery,
Green
lemon.
apple, lemon, and ginger. Cause it's so delicious. It's like a treat in the morning to drink that.
Yeah, no. I would not.
It's so good.
Yeah. So, I think that should be pretty good, right? I don't know how much you guys want.
Looks fantastic.
Okay.
We have no idea. We That can't much.
Oh,
see through it.
Awesome, Michelle. Thanks for.
That much.
thanks for
Whatever you
supporting.
think, Kim, is great. I'm looking for a
We
nice
can always
16
make
ounce.
more if you guys really like it. So when I first got into juice fasting, I thought, okay, this is a great way to detox my body. So that's really the reason I started to do it. And there are certain things with my health that just didn't turn around like I wanted them to. So I'm like, okay, we'll try this. And one of the things I did not expect to happen, now I've always had a poor relationship with food. When I was a teenager, I was bulimic, so I was completely out of control and ate everything in sight. And it was a very unhealthy relationship, and I was an emotional eater, and it just wasn't good. So I've always struggled with my relationship with food, and I think a lot of people, we eat through emotions and that. And when you have to go through sitting in your hunger, or going through, and you aren't even that hungry so much, so I've done water fasting too, that's a little more sitting through your hunger, but juice fasting really isn't. So when you have to go through the fact that I'm not chewing anymore, or I'm not relying on food anymore, it has a way of one, working on your willpower, or, you know, kind of the mind over the physical. I would say it's very like spiritual in nature, in my opinion. If some of you have done it, maybe you felt the same sort of thing, but like, it's a strong connection, I would say, to anything spiritual. So, like when I would pray, huge, like way more response or way more connection than I have ever had in my entire life. It was just like such a clear connection. And through extended ones, and I would say that happens within like a day or two, usually once I'm not eating anything. And then usually with the extended ones, it's more of you realize how much you don't need to eat. Like how much I would always eat, or how much, you know, when you look on a day-to-day basis that I eat this much, but you know, here I am just having juice, and I feel better, and I'm doing better, and I'm healthier. So, you know, it looks like there's something odd about that picture, and it's really done a lot to kind of, I would say, my peace of mind, or my stress, like the cognitive, mental, mind, body type of experience, and I'm probably not wording it right because it's so late and it's hard for me to explain, but do any of you others that have done it know what I'm talking about? How
It's
would you
pretty
describe?
common in the majority of religions of the world, isn't it? Isn't there often a fasting element in most of the world
Right,
religions?
in the religion, so like, you know,
Yeah.
Buddhists and Christians, and yeah, it's a very religious thing, and
Yeah.
And I, you know, personally, I actually will do it for clarity, you know, when I want an answer on something, or if there's a problem, and I want strong spiritual guidance, I'll do it at that time to get that, because it happens.
I
pretty
did hear a
immediately.
quote once that resonated with me, not along those lines, but it was, hunger is not an emergency. And I realized that I had treated hunger as an emergency. Everything must stop now, I'm eating now, right? Whatever was going on, it didn't matter, it's time to eat, it's emergency.
Well, right, so it's something that do you want it? We eat, you know, we get hungry and we eat. How often do we ever have you guys ever sat with your hunger and like made yourself like endure it? And cause you know, I used to tell myself I would get hungry and my stomach would growl and I would really kind of yell at it and be like, look, you're really not hungry because there's plenty of fat cells on my body that you can go consume. And you really just don't eat my fat. Right, because it's another thing, I'm not starving. I have plenty of energy to go from, but my mind tells me I'm starving. I'm really not starving. So it's a lot of that mental mind over matter, in my opinion.
You like celery?
I know.
You don't like
So is
celery?
there other questions at this point? Because we're kind of towards the end here now.
What are your thoughts on, one word that came up was nightshades when I did the workshop? I'm like, I don't know, ask him.
In what regard?
I don't know. I mean, I know that there's, you know, in the news feed, Lord knows, it confuses everybody right out of trying. And I understand that there's some cautions on the nightshade vegetables. And I do know that some of them are better when cooked, like I believe tomatoes, leptin, I don't know, some sort of something in the tomato.
It depends what you're looking at. The leptins, the solamine, like.
One of those.
Yeah.
I don't know the details. I don't really subscribe as much personally, so I just wanted to ask you if there's any merit to that, because, you know, it pops up on the juice Google results.
They can be bad for arthritis.
Right, so they're inflammatory. They can be inflammatory, right? So typically arthritis and autoimmune or inflammation conditions, you want to try to stay away from them. Nightshades are tomatoes, bell peppers, potatoes, eggplant, cigarette, and a couple others like mulberry, goji berries, and a couple other things like that that are not very commonly eaten. But, so they can be hard to avoid because tomatoes and potatoes, if you've never ever tried to avoid them, they're the last stuff.
I'm not giving up my tomatoes, Karen.
Hey, am I telling you? You brought it up, not me.
So you don't take much weight in that.
You know, I mean, some people will feel better, you know, if especially like, I would say arthritis people typically is the most affected. If they cut them out, a lot of times they'll feel better.
Really?
Yeah.
So maybe just a break from time to time?
It's always
Is
good
that
to
idea?
not eat a food all year round because our ancestors never did that. They ate with the seasons. So we're supposed to take breaks. When you eat a food every day, all the time, you're bound to probably start reacting to it and not. So it's better to take breaks at some point if you can. Yeah.
Okay, so if you're juicing all the time and then you have to take juices to work, is stainless steel okay, or should you use like a glass jar?
Stainless steel or glass is what, I use stainless steel because it doesn't break in a kind of glass. So I like stainless steel. As far as that goes. But as far as the Facebook group, I didn't mention, I was gonna mention that, but I didn't. So, I will periodically do like Facebook group cleanses. There's no charge. Anybody can join that wants to do a juice fast. There's no limit of days. There's no anything. It's just a support system. I'm not going to hold your hand and walk you through it. If you want that, you can come in for an appointment and I can do that. Otherwise, this is just for anybody that wants to join and wants to kind of be on the same page. I'm doing it for March and April. So whoever wants to do a juice fast during either of those months, I'm gonna leave the group open for that long. I'll be posting information and general support in there, and then it's for questions and support. You're waving a clipboard at me. Go ahead. Is that for people that are interested?
I'm stretching. I'm doing standing
Oh,
moon.
you were trying to signal me with them?
And then also, if you guys wanna write down your name and email and give it to Kim, then she can email you that information and just pass it around. There's no pressure if you don't wanna do that.
Do you guys
Just make
also
sure the pen
just-
carries along with the clipboard.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, and then you can just friend me on Facebook too and let me know you want to be added. Kim Schiffer ND is my that, or you can write down your information and I'll contact you.
SCHIFFER?
SCHIFFER.